Okay, guys. This first video is going to be having a look at how to deconstruct an essay question, and furthermore, how to create a thesis statement based on your response to the essay question. Now, the first thing that you really need to be doing whenever you're given an essay question is, of course, to deconstruct that question so that you actually understand what it is that you're responding to. So take this example essay question here. We are being asked to evaluate the extent to which Scout is influenced by the women in her life. Now, generally speaking, what you should be doing is either highlighting or underlining those key words or words that you just need clarity on and to really think carefully about. So for me, I would be highlighting evaluate, the focus on Scout, influence, and women, all right, in her particular life. So those are the things that I would be focusing on first and foremost. Now, it's good to avoid just highlighting the question and then moving on. What you want to be doing is actually thinking about what these words or what these phrases mean in the context of the question. So what we were going to do is just have a look at our first word. Now, evaluate essentially means to make a judgment, and it's really important that you understand the different essay question types. You might get analyze, you might get discuss. Evaluate, we are always making a judgment. And so you want to make sure that you're actually doing that throughout your essay. You are actually determining how much Scout is actually influenced by the women in her life. Now, influenced, to me, that sort of means impacted, maybe in relation to thought processes, values, anything like that. We don't need to deconstruct Scout because we know that she is our protagonist, but it's important to note that that specific detail is in the question. And then, of course, we have women. Now, we know what women are, but which women are we going to be thinking about? Now, if we're going off our lesson today, we'll probably be focusing on Calpurnia because she's actually part of the Finch family, simply by her employment and the way that the family respects her. And Aunt Alexandra. She's strong. She's contrasted to Calpurnia in a lot of ways. All right. And Scout butts heads with her, which means that Scout is constantly sort of thinking about what Aunt Alexandra is saying and how that all fits in with Scout's own understanding of life, all right? Now, for the second step, what we want to be doing is thinking about what are my ideas or the general response that you have to the question. What does it make me think about? Now, in relation to this particular question, I automatically think about the fact that Scout's opinions are shaped by these women. Through the clarity they provide. So to make things clear, is what we're talking about with clarity. And particularly with Aunt Alexandra, the way that they challenge Scout's understanding of the world. I also think about things like the fact that she has no mother. So these women are maybe the maternal substitute. They are open to questioning. Certainly Calpurnia is. Aunt Alexandra probably not so much. the idea of resenting but also respecting. And of course, the fact that Scout is resolute in her thinking about a lot of things, but she does defer to Calpurnia and sometimes Aunt Alexandra in order to clarify her understanding. As well as Atticus and Jem, of course. So what you need to be doing, guys, is actually thinking about what it is that you automatically think of when you read this particular question. All right, it's a process, and while it's a lengthy one, it is good to get into the habit of doing this prior to even starting to construct your thesis so that you can actually understand what it is that you are saying. All right. Now, our third step is finally to start constructing our thesis. How are you going to answer this question? And that is what we call a thesis statement. Now, a thesis statement is in essence an acknowledgement of the question. Often that's an easy way of starting off your thesis statement, and then you can actually refine it and make it a bit more concise. And then it's also an acknowledgement of the specific way that you are going to be responding to this question. All right. If you had to answer the essay question in 1 to 2 sentences, that is essentially what a thesis statement is. It is your response in 1 to 2 sentences to the question. However, unfortunately, an essay is where we're asking you to elaborate and provide evidence. And so we do need to write an entire essay and not just the sentence, but that's the easiest way of thinking about what a thesis statement actually is. So this obviously takes a bit of refinement, and what you should be doing is thinking about your phrasing. However, if I was going to be responding to this particular question, my thesis statement is going to be addressing how even though Scout gains an understanding of people, all throughout the town, from Atticus to Miss Maudie, to her peers at school, to her teacher, etc., it is ultimately Calpurnia and Alexandra who actually offer that clarity. So that's simply what I'm going to be writing here. Now, with this particular wording, you would probably rephrase some of this. So I'm not entirely sure whether or not I actually like this phrase here, offer clarity to Scout. I'm pretty happy with the use or acknowledgement of the fact that there are a lot of different influences on Scout, but specifically what am I trying to say about the women, how they actually impact Scout? I do like the word clarity, so I'm going to keep that, but I think they also offer explanations to things that she doesn't understand. So I want to actually incorporate this idea. So I would actually refine my thesis statement. So as you can see, I've sort of switched around how they actually provide clarity. Because of the structure of my sentence, I am saying that the explanations that Calpurnia and Aunt Alexandra offer, whether that's actually through answering Scout's questions or providing information just about how the world works, this actually creates the clarity that Scout often needs in relation to the things that she questions. All right, so that's an example of how you are getting to your thesis statement. What we're aiming for is concise writing. This is actually just one sentence here, ladies and gents. So you do want to be making sure that you are refining your ideas as I've done here.